We're learning the woman arrested by immigration officers at the Salt Lake City airport last week has a valid work permit, and her new attorney is now trying to stop her deportation. Her attorney, though, says the deportation order does take priority over the work permit. It's just one part of this evolving and complicated story. KSL News Radio's Adam Small joined me with the breakdown.
We're now learning from her attorney, Adam Crayk, that she actually has a legal work permit to live and work in the U.S. It's valid through 2029. But we're also learning that she had a previous deportation order issued against her. A judge signed off on her removal from the country some time back. So legally speaking, Crayk actually defended the immigration officers in the sense of they were targeting someone who had an active deportation order. They are required to go after people who have those and take them into custody and put them into proceedings where they will be removed from the country. But it turns out her case is a lot more convoluted and complex than anyone could have thought of, because I know we started to kind of see this circulate on social media. It turns out she used to be married, and her ex-husband filed an asylum case for them. So basically claiming we fled our previous home country from abuse. She actually also claimed domestic violence as a reason she was fleeing to the United States when she crossed the border. But they got duped by it's basically an organization, like these little pop-up organizations that do tax services and also claim to do immigration legal services. They're called notaries, or in Spanish it's a notarias or something like that. I don't speak Spanish, but these little pop-up places will be like, hey, we offer immigration services. We can help you. Turns out the entity they went to at the time to help get an asylum case, they're not actually legally authorized to practice law. And they filed an asylum case and also put the wrong address on that case. They put an address, so the best way to reach her was an address in West Valley. She's never lived in West Valley. She's lived in Woods Cross and Bountiful the entire time she's lived in Utah. And now, hang with me. I know this is a lot, but because of that, they did file the asylum case, and it did go into the federal immigration court system. It was filed, even though it was done by people who were not authorized to do it. It still went through. They then schedule a date. We're like, hey, we want you to come meet with us and interview, basically tell us why you wish to stay in the United States, get asylum. But because of that address and the people not knowing what they were doing, she never got notice of it. And when she missed her interview, the judge eventually signed off on her removal from the country, not knowing she has had a valid work permit for years, and she has 4 children who are all U.S. citizens. So while the arrest, in a nutshell, was legally justified because there was a deportation order, Crayk is now arguing that there were a lot of mistakes made in her case before it ever even got to this point. She was basically blindsided. She thought, like, hey, you can hear her in the video screaming, like, I'm legal, I have papers. Like, she thought that work permit gave her that legal authorization to be in the U.S., even though the deportation order trumped it. That justified what the agents were doing. She really thought she was fine. She had no idea that a judge issued an order for her to be removed from the country. She had no idea what happened to her asylum case after they initially filed it. And on top of that, she has 4 children, 2 of which have serious health problems. And Crayk is now, while she is in custody right now, Crayk is going to argue that she did not have notice, which is something that she needs under these federal immigration laws. She also has 2 children with serious health issues that will suffer immensely if she's removed from the country. Now, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. Is he optimistic, though, that he's going to have her freed?
He is optimistic, but he's also being a little guarded, knowing that, every judge is different, every case is different, circumstances are different. Right now, it is a tough situation because, again, she has those 4 children, 2 of which need special care with their health issues. They are now currently being cared for by her sister, who's also working. So basically just had to bring 4 children into her apartment, doing the best they can, but she's currently sitting in Marta Leiva is now sitting in the Salt Lake County Jail, and at this point, depending on how fast the court process goes, she's expected to be moved to an out-of-state ICE facility. That could end up being in Colorado, where we saw a University of Utah student who was pulled over, ended up there for quite some time. John Shin, the violinist we talked about for quite some time, ended up in that facility in Aurora. But Crayk's actually worried she could get moved to a facility as far away as Louisiana, which has a notorious reputation for just being, in his words, awful. That's just how he put it. But what he is trying to do in the long run is not only, first things first is he's like, we need to stop her deportation. She has no criminal history outside of 3 parking tickets. If you look at her background check, that's all she has. So she's not a threat to the community. We need to stop the deportation. And if that is actually approved, Crayk told me that if it goes their way, a cancellation of removal is what it's called in legal terms. That's actually the legal equivalent of getting a green card. So if this were to all play in her favor, she could potentially obtain U.S. residency and then eventually naturalize, become a citizen. But again, that's best case scenario. Right now, she's sitting in custody, and they're trying to stop her from being sent out of the country. So right now, it's really a race against time.
No court date.
Not that I am aware of right now. I will double check. Adam did tell me that they had just filed their first motion this morning. So I will follow up on that for sure. But it is quite the case, and it's turned out to be a lot more complex than we thought. But we felt it was important to give listeners a little more clarity about this 30 seconds of chaos, disturbing arrest at the airport. Turns out there's a lot more to it.
We're learning more about the woman seen in a viral video struggling with ICE agents at Salt Lake City Airport. Her lawyer now says agents were legally justified in arresting her, but he says she still has a case to remain in the U.S. KSL News Radio's Adam Small with the update.
39-year-old Marta Leiva was seen on video last week being walked out of the airport by immigration officers, and a warning, some listeners may find this audio disturbing.
No!
We've since learned Leiva has a valid work permit, but her attorney, Adam Crayk, now tells me a judge previously signed an order for her deportation, which he claims she never knew about.
In her mind, she was walking around that airport with a work permit on her person, thinking that she had the ability to be in the United States without being arrested.
Legally speaking, Crayk says these agents were justified in arresting her because that deportation order supersedes her work permit. But Crayk is now trying to stop her deportation because he claims she was never notified about the status of her asylum case, which was filed by someone who was not licensed to offer legal services. He also says Leiva has 4 U.S. citizen children, 2 of which have serious health issues. He plans to argue the needs of those children and the lack of notice for the deportation should allow her to remain in the country and potentially get her permanent residency. For now, she's in the Salt Lake County Jail, but is expected to eventually be transferred to an out-of-state detention facility. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.